And so we plough on with Chapter 4, Amnesia. A week had passed since the shooting, and Yugi had still not woken up. Everyone was even more worried about Yugi now that he had been in a coma for a week. Yami hadn't left Yugi's hospital room much. He was completely worried about Yugi, and he didn't plan on leaving that much until Yugi had woken up. All of their friends were worried about Yugi. None of them knew that they would do if Yugi never woke up. Yami was sitting beside Yugi in the hospital room. He was holding Yugi's hand. "Come on, Yugi. You have to wake up. We all need you. I need you. No one knows what to do with you in a coma. I need you to wake up and give me that smile that says everything is going to be okay, like you always do when times are tough," Yami said. I wouldn't be surprised for a minute if he went to a version of Girlfriend in a Coma by the Smiths. Yugi didn't respond. A moment later the door opened, and the group walked in. "Hey, Yami," Joey said. Yami looked up and gave them a strained smile. "Hey, guys," Yami said. "Any change?" Bakura asked. "No, nothing," Yami said. "We can't give up. Yugi's going to wake up," Taya said. "Yeah, Yugi isn't one to give up, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to give up," Ryu added. No one was willing to give up hope yet, because that would mean that Yugi wasn't going to ever wake up, and none of them were willing to even consider that possibility. "Has Grandpa talked to Dr. Reed?" Yami asked. "Yeah, Dr. Reed said that Yugi is physically recovering from the shooting. She says that he could wake up any time," Seto said. "Or he might never wake up," Heiba said quietly. The group went silent again at that thought. "Come on, this is Yugi we're talking about. He's not going to give up," Malik said. "He's right. We can't just give up," Tristan said. "We're not," Yami said. He wasn't about to give up on his boyfriend yet. He couldn't even imagine something like that. Suddenly a low groan filled the air. All eyes turned to the bed, the only place the groan could have come from. Everyone could feel their hope rising. They all wanted it to mean that Yugi was waking up. Slowly, Yugi opened his eyes. His vision was blurry, and he couldn't really see straight. "Where am I? What happened?" Yugi asked himself. "Yugi!" Yugi looked up and found a group of people standing around him. "All right, this is great. Welcome back, Yugi. You gave us quite a scare. Don't ever pull that again." "About damn time." Yugi was confused. Heiba walked up beside his brother. "Yugi, I'm glad you're awake. You have no idea how worried we were," Heiba said. "Heiba?" Yugi said. "Of course it's me," Heiba said. Yami hadn't said a word, but he was smiling happily. He was glad that Yugi was awake now. "Hey, Yug, if you wanted some attention, you could have found a better to get it," Joey said. Yugi then turned his attention to the other people in the room. "What is going on?" Yugi asked himself. "So, you're doing okay?" Ryu asked. Yugi finally said something for the first time since he woke up. "What's going on?" Yugi asked. "There was a shooting at school and you were shot. You've been in a coma for a week," Heiba said. Yugi then turned his attention back to Heiba. "What are you doing here, Heiba?" Yugi asked. Heiba frowned. "Where else would I be when my brother is in the hospital?" Heiba asked. Yugi shook his head. "I don't understand," Yugi muttered. Everyone looked at each other, wondering what was up with Yugi. "Looks like that bullet did more damage than we thought," Bakura muttered. "Yugi, what's wrong? What don't you understand?" Taya asked. Yugi shifted his eyes to Taya. "Taya, what are you doing here?" Yugi asked. "Yugi, I'm your friend. This is the only place that I would be right now," Taya said. "So, you're not upset anymore?" Yugi asked. Taya frowned. "Upset? Upset about what?" Taya asked. "Well, a few days ago you told me you were in love with me, and I had to tell you I was gay," Yugi said. Those words struck fear in Taya's heart as she knew exactly what they meant. Everyone else was completely shocked at those words. "Taya, what's going on?" Heiba asked. Taya was so shocked that she couldn't answer. "Heiba, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in Egypt?" Yugi asked. Now Heiba was worried. "Yugi, don't you remember?" Yami asked. Yugi turned his attention to Yami for the first time. "Remember what? And who are you?" Yugi asked. Those words were enough to break Yami's heart. He doesn't know who I am, Yami thought. The group was outside the hospital room while Dr. Reed and Solomon were in there with Yugi. Tristan turned to his girlfriend. Taya, what the hell was Yugi talking about? You were in love with Yugi? Tristan asked. Taya sighed. Tristan, I was at one time, Taya said. And you never mentioned this before, why? Yami asked. Guys, that was a long time ago, Taya said. How long? He said it was a few days ago, Marek pointed out. He also thinks I'm in Egypt, Haber pointed out. Taya sighed. Guys, Yugi and I were 14 when I talked to him about that. It was still a few months before we completed the Millennium Puzzle. Guys, that was 3 years ago, Taya said. Hold on, doesn't that mean that Yugi doesn't remember the last 3 years of his life? Joey asked. It sounds like it, Seto said. Something then hit Taya. If that's true, then the only people he's going to remember are Haber, me, and Grandpa. He might recognize Joey and Tristan's names from school. He'd probably recognize Seto's name because he was already the CEO of Kaiba Corp. He won't remember anyone else, Taya said. He doesn't know who I am, Yami said. Any of us, Bakura added. A moment later, Solomon and Dr. Reed walked out of the hospital room. Well, I can officially tell you that Yugi does have amnesia. He doesn't remember the last 3 years of his life, Dr. Reed said. Is this something permanent? Yami asked. No, not necessarily. He could remember everything in due time. It might take some time, but he should remember, Dr. Reed said. Should? Haber asked. There is always a chance that he won't remember. It's a slim chance that he won't remember and the amnesia is permanent. I won't lie that it is a possibility, but it's not something I see as happening, Dr. Reed said. So, what should we do? Ryu asked. Well, the truth is that you shouldn't tell him anything in the last 3 years. Let it come back to him on his own, Dr. Reed said. What if he asks specific questions? Haber asked. I would say answer them. If he asks specially, then yes, go ahead and tell him, Dr. Reed said. All right, Solomon said. Also, don't treat him any differently than you would if he did remember. Sometimes being treated the same way will help them recover their memory, Dr. Reed said. Nothing else we should know? Solomon asked. I don't think so. Now that Yugi's awake, I want to keep him here today, and if all's well, he can go home tomorrow, Dr. Reed said. Dr. Reed, Yami and Atomu live with us now, and they didn't from the time Yugi remembers. How do we explain that? Solomon asked. Just be honest and tell them that they live there, Dr. Reed said. Solomon nodded and Dr. Reed walked off. So what now? Atomu asked. We do what she says, Solomon said. Yami sighed. I suppose I'll need to move out of the room now, Yami said. Why? Haber asked. He doesn't remember that we're dating, so it would be weird for us to be in the same room, Yami said. He crossed his arms and added softly, For him, anyway. He didn't like the way any of this had turned out. Where are you going to move to? There's only 3 bedrooms in the house, Atomu said. You will stay put. We'll simply explain to Yugi that you two share a room because Atomu and Haber are dating, so they share a room, Solomon said. Yami nodded. I suppose this means that we can't tell Yugi that he and Yami were dating, Malik said. No, it's best that we just let Yugi remember on his own, Solomon said. He looked at Yami and said, I'm sorry, but it's best this way. I understand, Yami said. Later, Haber was in the hospital room with Yugi. So, Yami and Atomu Sennen are brothers and they live with us? Yugi asked. Yes, Atomu is actually my boyfriend. He and I share a room. You and Yami are roommates because there's no other room in the house for him, Haber said. Oh, do we get along? Yugi asked. You and Yami? Yes, you two are best friends, Haber said. And you were in love with him, Haber added silently to himself. Okay, Yugi said. Don't worry, Yugi. I'm sure that you'll remember everything in time, Haber said. I hope so. I don't like not remembering everything. There's 3 years of my life that I can't remember, Yugi said. Haber reached over and took Yugi's hand in his. Yugi, it'll be okay, Haber said. The fact that I was shot is upsetting enough. The fact that I can't remember things makes it worse. I mean, Tristan Taylor and Joey Wheeler were bullies at one time, and now they're my friends, Yugi said. They told Yugi about who his friends were so that he wasn't caught too off guard. It's going to be okay, Yugi, I promise, Haber said. Yugi gave his brother a small smile. I hope you're right, Yugi said. He then realized something. How long have you been living with us? Yugi asked. About 2 years, Haber said. Wow, I missed a lot, Yugi said. You'll get it back, Yugi, Haber said. The door opened and Taya walked in. Hi, Haber. Mind if I talk to Yugi a minute? Taya asked. Sure, Haber said. He got up and left. How are you doing, Yugi? Taya asked, walking over and sitting beside Yugi. Besides the fact I was shot in the head and have lost 3 years of my life, I'm fantastic, Yugi said sarcastically. Well, he's retained some of the attitude he's picked up from Yami, Taya thought. I just wanted to talk to you for a minute, Taya said. About what? Yugi asked. What you said earlier. Yugi, I know I told you I was in love with you, and I really was, but the truth is that I got over you, Taya said. Really? Yugi asked. Taya nodded. I accepted it and moved on. Tristan and I are dating now. Have been for about a year, Taya said. Oh, I just know that you were pretty upset when I told you I was gay, Yugi said. Taya waved him off. I got over that a while ago. We're great friends, Yugi, Taya said. Yugi smiled. I'm glad. I really value our friendship and I don't want to lose it, Yugi said. Taya reached down and took Yugi's hand in hers. We didn't, Yugi. I'm really happy with Tristan, Yugi said. Yugi said? Everything's getting confused. Good, Yugi said. He leaned back into the pillows. Now if only I can remember the last 3 years of my life, Yugi said. You will, Yugi. Just give it a little time, Taya said. Yami and Atomu were in Yami and Yugi's room at the house. I cannot believe this, Yami said. Yami, it'll be okay, Atomu said. How will it be okay? Yugi doesn't remember who I am, let alone the fact that we were dating. I think that I have the right to be upset, Yami said. I didn't say that you shouldn't be upset. You just can't let Yugi know how upset you are, and he's liable to figure it out if he sees how upset you are, Atomu said. I know. Obvious is obvious. Yami, it's most likely not permanent. Yugi could still get his memory back, Atomu said. I hope that he does. I don't know if I could handle him never remembering me, Yami said. He will remember you, Yami. It just might take a little time, Atomu said. I hope you're right, Yami said. Wow, the battle of the epic voices. The following day, Yugi was still in the hospital when Solomon walked into the hospital room. Morning, Yugi. How are you feeling? Solomon asked. Okay, I guess, Yugi said. Solomon smiled at his grandson. Yugi, I know that not being able to remember anything is bothering you, but please try to cheer up, Solomon said. Could be worse. You could have amnesia. Oh, bad timing. It's hard, Grandpa. I don't have a clue what's happened in the last 3 years. My brother lives with us now. We have 2 people living with us that I don't know. Most of my friends are people I don't have a clue about, and I am completely lost, Yugi said. He rubbed his forehead. This is so messed up, Yugi said. Solomon sat down beside Yugi. I agree with you on that, Yugi. This is messed up, but you will get your memory back. It may take a little time, Solomon said. Grandpa, I know that there's a chance I will never remember the past. You don't have to try and sugarcoat things, Yugi said. Solomon placed his hand over Yugi's. It'll be okay. I am confident that you will remember everything in due time. You just need to be patient, Solomon said. Yugi sighed. I'll try, Yugi said. He looked at his grandfather. What do I do about my friends, though? Yugi asked. Well, I suggested you take time to get to know them. Because of the shooting, the school is closed next week, so take the time to get to know them, Solomon said. Repetition is fun, kids. Yugi nodded. I think I'll do that, Grandpa, Yugi said. Solomon smiled. Good. It's the best thing that you can do, Solomon said. Yugi nodded. The door opened and Dr. Reed walked in. Good morning, Yugi. How are you feeling? Dr. Reed asked. I'm doing okay. Just a little frustrated, Yugi said. I understand. I have gone over everything and you can go home, Dr. Reed said. Really? Yugi asked. Yes. I want you to take it easy for a while, though, Dr. Reed said. I will, Yugi said. All right, Dr. Reed said. She told the two a few other things before she left the room. Well, at least I do remember home, Yugi said. It's changed a little, but not too much. You do understand that Yami shares a room with you, Solomon said. Yes, I understand, Yugi replied. Good. I hope that you two get along, Solomon said. Yugi smiled. I'll try, Grandpa. You know that, Yugi said. Indeed I do, Solomon agreed.